2026 is officially here. The holidays are behind us. The Ice Bowl saw Sam Seawright grab a win at Talladega last weekend. Cade Dillard got a victory at Arrowhead for the first time ever. The Ice Bowl wasn't the only race on opening weekend of 2026 as the year rolled off. Congratulations to both of those guys on their victories. And we roll into early in mid-January with, I think I can safely say, I've been doing this a long time, is the biggest Wild West Shootout in nearly a decade, if not a decade. The Western Mini Series this year moves from Vado, New Mexico, where it has been the past 4 seasons, back to its original home back in Casa Grande, Arizona, and Central Arizona Raceway, about 40 to 45 minutes southwest of Phoenix. I am Michael Rigsby inside the FloRacing and Dirt on Dirt studios, and we'll spend about the next 20 to 25 minutes or so previewing the Wild West Shootout and take an very early peek at Speed Weeks as well. Joining me is one of the guys who you will hear on the mic all week and a half long out there in Arizona. He's leaving the frosty terrain of Ohio and headed for the mid-70s temperatures of Arizona. It's my good buddy Dustin Jarrett who joins us now. DJ, thank you, first of all, for joining us. I'm gonna put you on pause for a second and remind you and everyone else that if you want to watch the Wild West Shootout, there is only one place to do that live, and it is right here at FloRacing. January 10th through the 18th, 6 races over 8 nights will compile this year's Wild West Shootout. You can watch every single lap live right here on FloRacing. Now I bring my good buddy Dustin Jarrett in. DJ, there's a million places for me to start this year. I think the field is where I would normally start, but I think anytime you're making a venue switch, I've got to talk about that first. 4 years this event was spent in New Mexico, and a massive shout out to Royal Jones and the beautiful palace he has there in Vado and everything that Royal did for the event. But I think a combo of rough weather, when I say rough, I mean literal snow on the ground the last couple of years, and some other things. I think it was time to try to move this thing back to Arizona. I think overall that kind of had to happen this year, don't you?
You're 100% right. Listen, I was there, right? I was there. I was inside a Starbucks in Las Cruces, New Mexico, when everybody in the Starbucks had their cell phones out videoing the snowfall that was coming down. And it wasn't just a dusting. I mean, we're talking like 2 inches of snow, 2 years in a row. And as a matter of fact, I asked Royal Jones one night, I said, after the race, I said, Royal, when's the last time that it snowed 2 days in a row here? And he stood there for a second and he goes, I don't think ever, And so, I mean, that's one part of it. But let's pull the curtain back and be honest too, Michael. It was getting very difficult to try to convince guys to come out there for the event, right? When there's snow on the ground and the temperatures were colder, it had nothing to do with Vado. It had nothing to do with the people in the grandstands or anything like that. But the weather, it was getting increasingly difficult to have that event there. There really wasn't, when Arizona Speedway closed, there wasn't really a home in Arizona for the event, right? There were some logistical issues. Arizona Speedway shut down, of course, but Casa Grande went through some different promotional changes there as well. Now they've got Brad Whitfield in, and man, he has really done a ton of work to that place. I mean, I don't know if folks are following along on social or not, but the work he's done there, I'm excited to get there. I've never been there before, Michael. It's a new track for me, man. Let's go.
He'll have it, guys. He'll have his notebook out, checking it off when he gets into the place. He'll be nerding out. So just bear with him.
Number 331. But to get back to your point, it did. It had to move for those reasons. And again, I want to make sure I put the rumors to rest. It wasn't because of crowd. It wasn't anything along those lines. There was no falling out with Royal Jones. Royal is the Grand Marshal this year. He's incredibly happy to see the event continue. So, but it's going to be a fresh start for a lot of folks. I personally am very excited about it.
A couple things in that vein, right? The racetrack at Vado was unbelievable. We all know that. 4 years ago, like you said, Casa Grande wasn't really in a position to host this event yet. They have spent a ton of money, time, and resources to make that facility better. So that's part of it as well. And like you said, you don't get too many chances with snow. When it snows 2 years in a row at an event, it's sort of the gods are speaking to you that maybe you need to take a different look at things. And who knows, right? Like, I'm not saying it'll be in Arizona forever. Maybe you go back to Vado in 4 or 5 years, but I know right now this was the move. And it's funny, as we head back to Casa Grande, and I've broadcast several races there over the course of my career, Todd Turner said, hey, if you're going to talk about Casa Grande, don't forget it's the original home of the winter thaw, early thaw, Ernie Mincy's thing. Todd goes, I got a graphic you got to show with Dustin. So let's show that now. Let's not forget the Wild West Shootout has spent some time at this racetrack before. Look at this winners list, DJ, of guys that have won at this racetrack. Terry Phillips, Steve Francis, John Anderson, Jimmy Mars, the Hall of Famer last year, Al Perkey, Jeff Taylor, Pat Dorr, Steve Drake, Bill Fry. I was at the Eddie Kirchhoff win when we started Dirt on Dirt the first year. Leave this up for a second, producer Jeff. This just tells you, look at all these 2007, 5, 8, 2003, and 4. This was where these Southwest Missouri and Upper Midwest guys were going in their early Arizona time, long before the Wild West Shootout made its big name with national guys. These are some of the guys that were going. Of course, Francis is a big name, but this was that Upper Midwest group that went down there and raced, DJ.
This is when this race was going on then and at Central Arizona. You never really knew, like, one, who was going to show up, but then two, who was going to be in victory lane, right? And again, take nothing away from the Brad Looney's of the world and the Eddie Kirchhoffs and guys like that. But you get up the next morning and you read on Dirt, like, oh my God, Eddie Kirchhoff picked up the win, in Central Arizona last night. Right. By the way, TP Terry Phillips, the leader of that list, just announced he's returning to a super late model at the Wild West Shootout this year.
Yeah, I wanted to throw this list out there. This place is not new to hosting this event and hosting big late model races in January, so it's kind of cool that we've come full circle and they're back. I do want to talk about the field, though, because this event has certainly transitioned, DJ, from a regional event to a national event. And let's throw this graphic up first. Here's the expected entrants this year from Garrett Alberson to JD to Tyler Erb and Ethan Dotson, Ryan Gustin, Mike Marlar, Hudson O'Neill, Brandon Overton, Bobby Pierce, Brandon Shepard, Chris Simpson, RTJ, and Drake Troutman. I think it's safe to say, before I get to my next group of drivers, leave this up for a second. This thing has become a national field, and I believe this is, and Hudson in that Rumley car, I think this is the best field in a decade, if not the best field ever for this event, DJ.
I was looking back, and I would say it's at least the best field probably since the last year we were at Tucson, right? The year where Shane Clanton told me his feelings about passing points, and Jonathan Davenport talked about Don O'Neill needing to roll the window up on the side of his car. That's been 12 years ago now, which is hard to believe.
I know.
Take nothing away from the fields at Arizona Speedway and at Vado, but this is, I think, probably the best field in at least 12 years that we've had. And honestly, I think the best competition that we've had. We'll see if anybody can maybe dethrone Bobby Pierce, off that stranglehold he's had at this event the last couple of seasons.
We got other guys, too, not just these headliners, but everybody from Daniel Adam to Kyle Beard and Sammy Mars, of course, the young son of Jimmy, who's trying to make a name for himself in late model racing, Tipo, Tyler Peterson, Jake O'Neill, Jimmy Whistler, of course, the DJ, that Oregon connection, right? Everyone's like, oh, it's easy for the Oregon guys to get there. I still think it's like 22 hours for them to drive down and get there. But this regional group help makes this field have some juice too as well, DJ.
Well, it really does. And I mean, the thing I think that we all need to keep in mind is there are drivers on this list. They're going to have really good shots to, if not get to victory lane, maybe knock out a top five, right? I mean, Jake O'Neill is one that comes to mind. He lives, an hour down the road in Tucson. He's turned more laps at Casa Grande than maybe anybody else that's on this list right here, other than T-Dub on this list right here. Those are guys that are going to have a real good chance to sneak in there and maybe make a name for themselves and I don't want to say become a household name, but be the Colin Weinbarger of last year, right? Weinbarger's a guy that went out there, ran really well. Remember, he led over half of the finale last year. So there are guys on this list right here that really make the Wild West Shootout what it is, and I think that's maybe even more so this year now that it's back in Arizona.
I get the question a lot, why has this thing become national event? You got to give credit to promoters Chris Kearns and Matt Curl for the money, right? And I'm going to kind of show that now that you mentioned that Tucson year, DJ. We had Tim McCready and Shannon Babb and those guys out there. It was like $3,000 to win. They would laugh. They would scoff at us now if we asked them to drive across the country, rightfully so, for $3,000. Let's take a look at the winners' purses. So the opening night is $25,000 to win. The closing night is $25,000 to win. It's sandwiched with 4 $10,000s in the middle. But DJ, the lap money on opening and closing night is an extra $500 per each lap led. The Saturday, January 10th, and the Sunday, January 18th, if a guy were to lead every lap, those are actually $50,000 to win races, which is that you want to know why those guys are out there. It's the money now, right? You could have a $50,000 to win the beginning, a $50,000 to win in, and four $10,000s in the middle. For January, when nothing else is going on, that's damn impressive.
It really is, and I jotted some notes down here about things to talk about. I think you touched on everything, right? That's how we know we're back. But it is. It's and I think one thing again to kind of mind is the fact that they got rid of that bonus a few years ago, right? Where if a driver won, 3 or more, 4 or more, et cetera. And really, we can all thank Bobby Pierce for that. Thanks, Bobby. He took the bonus away from everybody. But,
you ruined it.
But what they did, just as a reminder to the people watching, they took the money that they were using for the insurance premium and they invested it back into the event. And I think this graphic is a great example of that. That lap leader bonus, by the way, Larry Hank with Rio Grande Waste Services put that up, and that's huge, man. I mean, you talked about it, but it makes the opener on Saturday the 10th and then the finale on Saturday the 18th a possibility of $50,000 to win each. And when you put that in perspective, I mean, good Lord, we're racing for possibly two $50,000 to win shows in January, for God's sake. I mean, that just doesn't happen anywhere else. It's a true testament to this event and Chris Kearns and all the people behind it that have made it possible.
No, I think that's completely accurate. Thank you to Larry. I mean, Rio Grande Waste Services has just allowed this event to really flourish and happen. So can't say thanks enough to Larry and everybody else who's a sponsor. Okay, I've got a couple things I want your take on before we wrap the Wild West Shootout up. Start with this one. Who needs a good Wild West Shootout? It's not going to be Bobby Pierce. That guy wins like 50 races a year. So he's not the answer. Who needs a good Wild West Shootout?
All right, I got 2 guys for you. I got the Brandons, right?
Oh.
And some people are going to say, what, the Brandon? Well, Brandon Shepard, I think, is one. And they say, well, why Brandon Shepard, right? Brandon's really good. Well, let's not forget that he's winless in 3 straight years at the Wild West Shootout.
Yeah, hard to believe.
In that family B5. And so I think he needs it for him more than anything else. I think he wants to prove to himself that, hey, this B5 is still really good outside the state of Illinois. And so I think he needs and wants a good Wild West Shootout run, specifically qualifying. I mean, I think he passed more cars than anybody last year at Vado, but mostly because he didn't qualify really well. He was always having to come from 4th, 5th, 6th in his heat race. He was having to rally from 14th, 16th, 18th in the feature. So I think Brandon Shepard really wants to have a good run in the B5. And then the other driver I'm going to go with is the other Brandon, and that's Brandon Overton. Overton had 4 wins last year, which is a really, really good year for anybody, unless you're named Brandon Overton, right? That's the least number of wins that he's had since 2018. And so his name was one of those ones that kind of got thrown around as being on the hot seat maybe at the end of the year last year. I don't know if that was ever really the case or not. But here's a guy that, is just won the crown jewels at Eldora, right? An incredibly accomplished racer, but only having 4 wins, I think it probably rattled him as much as it did anyone. So I think that team now without Anthony Burrows as well, I think they're looking to come out of the gate and have a really strong start to 2026.
You're 1 for 1. That was a good answer, by the way. Both Brandon's a very good answer. They need it. They need to go out there, and because both of them are going to be points racing at some point. This thing is a jump start for your points race season. So good answer. Second question: give me a non-big name who you think this year's Colin Weinberger. Who could stand out? Who's the non-big name?
You're going to hate me, but I've got like 3 or 4. Okay, but we'll do quick hit on these. All right.
Okay.
I'm going way off the radar for one. Eli Ross. He's going to run this event this year. Some people are saying, who's Eli Ross? Well, the Oklahoma driver, 7 wins last year, Comp Cam's Rookie of the Year. I think he can go out there and knock down a few top 10s and really and truly become more of a household name. Tyler Peterson is one, TPO running the late model this year. Let's not forget, I mean, this guy's been a Wild West Shootout stalwart for several years now, Michael. He had 21 wins last year. 16 of those were in the late model. Wissota late model national champion last year. It's his 5th straight Wissota national title, by the way. He had 4 in the mod before that. I'm going to go Tim Ward as well. A lot of people forget T-Dub grew up just up the road in Mesa, Arizona. He Casa Grande is one of the tracks he cut his teeth at. He's got wins there in a modified. He's turned as many laps on that track as anyone does. He's also now got an open motor. He ran a spec motor last year with SLMR. He's got an open motor. I just talked to him. He's incredibly excited to get back home. I got one more for you, Michael. I'm going
That's
way
four.
off the radar.
That's here. Four. You said three.
I know,
That's four.
but you love the inside information. Here's a guy that is not on any driver's list that you've seen so far. R.C. Whitwell is going to be running. Yeah, going to be running the Wild West Shootout. He's going to be in it's inside baseball, Michael. Inside baseball right there. He's in a Jared Thompson-owned car. He was second just last weekend in that Comp Cams race at Arrowhead. He always seems to shine when he's in a late model. He always seems to shine when he's in his home state of Arizona. I think R.C. Whitwell knocks off a couple good runs at the Wild West Shootout this year.
I had the results pulled up. I was going to say second in the first blood at Arrowhead Speedway on January 3rd to Cade Dillard. So, yeah, I mean, that top five was Dillard, Whitwell, Stuckey, and John Mitchell was top four, and Tyler Wolf in fifth. So, yeah, Whitwell looks the same, by the way. He looks exactly like he did 20 years ago when I started seeing him crew chief for those guys out in Arizona. All right, I'm going to put you on the spot with this one. Bobby Pierce, over, under 2.5 Wild West Shootout wins. The guy who's dominated this event the last 3 or 4 years.
I'm going to say over just a little. I'm going to say 3.
Okay.
And again, he's dominated, right? I mean, he's won 8 races, the Wild West Shootout, out of the last 11 or something stupid like that, right? But new track this year, number one. I don't know if he's ever turned laps at Casa Grande before. I don't know how many of these guys have turned laps at Casa Grande before, but as we talked about in the Open too, I just think there's maybe a little more competition this year. You know, guys like Davenport and Thornton, I think, are going to be the biggest threats. I expect Thornton to find victory lane at least once. He'll be running, it looks like 5 of the 6 races, maybe depending on how things go in Tulsa. He's in that Adam Family Motorsports car, so it might take a race or 2 for him to get dialed in. He's back home as well. He's got laps there. I think Hudson O'Neal is going to be really good in the Rumley car. You talked about him, Garrett Alberson, Mike Marlar, and of course we talked about Sheppy and Overton too. So I think he splits in half. I think 3 is the number for BP this year.
You're back in Phoenix this year. And listen, I grew to love Las Cruces, El Paso area. I really did. But there's no doubt Phoenix is a metroplex. There's a few more things to do. Best non-racing thing you're going to do? Well, Fiesta Bowl, maybe. Go to the Fiesta Bowl while you're there. Is that on the docket?
Listen, I'm still very disappointed in the performance by my Ohio State Buckeyes the other day. Okay, but it was on my radar. It was 100% on my radar, and I fly in Thursday too. So. Listen, if you're a golfer, which I am not, there's a ridiculous number of golf courses in Phoenix, casinos galore. We know every racer likes to gamble. And then just the nightlife as well, whether it's Scottsdale, which I know is one of our favorite places to visit, Glendale, Gilbert, Mesa, wherever, Chandler, right? I mean, you're 30 minutes from that Chandler, Gilbert area. You're about 45 minutes from kind of the heart of downtown Phoenix. There's no shortage of things to do. You've also, if you want to get away from the sunshine and 70-degree weather, which I don't know why you would want to, but you got Apache, the ski resort, just like an hour up the road. So there's no shortage of things to do in that Phoenix area.
You've got the Barrett-Jackson auction on the second weekend, right? The Phoenix Suns got a home game. The Fiesta Bowl is there. There's just a million things to do in Phoenix. Quickly on this, DJ, most of the people that are watching this are hardcore late model fans. These mod fields are pretty dang good out there, though, and we've had some great mod and X-mod races. Give me 60 seconds of mod context. These fields are phenomenal, and usually the racing's pretty damn good, too.
Yeah, they really are, and I'm happy to say, I mean, in the last 4 or 5 years, we've kind of slid from that, oh no, the X-Mods are out on the track, to, oh my God, the X-Mods are putting on a really good show. Yeah.
Right.
Mr. Rob, I'm sure will be back in the X-Mods, by the way. Rob Mosley, speaking of household names. But speaking on the mods in particular, Rodney Sanders will be really good. Cade Dillard, I think, is going to be really hard to beat. You're going to have 12 Gallardos there. You have Jake Gallardo, Fito Gallardo, Peyton Gallardo, Rocco Gallardo, all the Gallardos.
Dustin Jarrett Gallardo. That's the official name change.
I think I'm a Gallardo. I think I've inherited the Gallardo name just from working with them 10 years. Matt Crafton's going to be there running a
Yep.
modified. Joe Duval, Gary Christian, Dylan Thornton, by the way,
Yeah.
not going to have a late model there. He's going to be there in his modified though. So Dilly going to come to Casa Grande. But the modified field is just it's really good. Again, some unknowns with it being at Casa Grande this year. I don't know that we're going to see a Sanders or Dillard sweep, but I do think those are the two guys to beat this year in the Mesilla Valley Transportation Modified division.
But quick bow, we're going to put in the Wild West Shootout, and thank you for all that. Speed Week's not that far away, right? But I got a lot of you and I have a lot of thoughts on Speed Weeks now, right? So I'm going to wrap the Wild West Shootout for a second and briefly touch on Speed Weeks. And keep in mind, the first week of February, we will be recording a full Speed Weeks preview as well. So don't worry, we're going to have more on Speed Weeks. But let me get some thoughts off my chest first, DJ, about Speed Weeks. I want to start with this. To me, this isn't really, and I don't think this is a hot take, Speed Weeks anymore, right? Speed Weeks. It's too stretched out, kind of, to be considered Speed Weeks. There's too many days off in between all these races for it to be considered Speed Weeks. It ends in March now, the first weekend in March. That's just weird. The Outlaws are now on top of Lucas's first race, which I was very vocal about that I didn't like. That's a bummer to me. This thing stretches 44 days from Volusia, exactly, from Volusia 1.0 all the way to Golden Oz, 44 days. And not really Speed Weeks anymore when we think about that traditional East Bay Volusia stuff. Let me show the Speed Weeks schedule just to sort of drive that home. The first real, I think what you'd consider Speed Weeks is January 22nd through the 24th, the Sunshine Nationals at Volusia. You can watch that on Dirt Vision. Hunt the Front then in the fray. The next weekend at Needmore, the South Georgia Showdown, a couple of 10,000 to win events there, followed directly through the week at Swainsboro, JJ's track down there, February 2nd and 3rd, both those on Hunt the Front. Screven then has its own weekend, a 5 and 10 and 25,000 to win Southern All-Stars events. Then the traditional Volusia Daytona week. Then Lucas starts, DJ, February 19th through the 21st at Alltech for 3. Want to get down there and check out Alltech. Ocala then goes, well, actually not even that. Henry County on top of Alltech, which I do not like. I've said that many times. The Swamp Cabbage 100 down there in Clewiston. Then Ocala, then Golden Isles. So I wanted to lay out the enormity of the Speed Week schedule. For me, the East Bay thing, when East Bay went away, we tried it for a year with Ocala sort of sliding into that. Now that that's gone, we've got this 44-day sort of, exactly, 44-day sort of meandering thing. Before we get to the coverage that we're going to get, am I right about everything I said? This isn't exactly Speed Weeks. We're not going to cover it exactly like we used to. It's just different now, isn't it? You can't really do it like we've always done it.
It's just there. You know, that's what someone told me, and I've used that line. It's just kind of there. And you know, East Bay is the big one still, right? And I think, you know,
I love Volusia. We love Volusia. This is not a knock on Volusia.
We love Volusia a lot. But here's the thing, right? So as an industry, we're still trying to navigate the no East Bay thing. And so to try to put this in perspective, you know, East Bay and Volusia for 23 years
partners
ran
right?
basically 12 of 13 days. You had two straight full weeks of racing. And you take one of those weeks away, and it leaves this void. And look, Ocala, God, before Bubba texts me, Ocala was really freaking good last year. Right?
It was
great, Bubba. Don't get on me. But we lost when we lost East Bay. We lost that, and so now we've got Volusia, we've got the Daytona 500, but we don't have that 2 straight weeks of racing. We've got time off, and now all of a sudden you've got Alltech and you've got Henry County on top of each other, right? And so drivers now suddenly have to choose where they're going to go, and so it's just there. And I don't know if we'll ever get it back. I don't know if it will ever be the same. But I also think it's a fresh start. I think it's an opportunity for us as media members to kind of help dictate the road of Speed Weeks a little bit. I think it's an opportunity for Lucas, and a lot of credit to them, for shifting and trying something different. And you know what? It might work and it might not work. We might do this a year, 2 years, and decide, hey, this thing doesn't work. We want to try to shift it back. But again, a lot of credit to Rick Schwally and his staff for trying something different as well. And then the last point as well, I really think that Ocala was really freaking good last year, right? And so is there an opportunity down the road to maybe flip-flop Ocala and Alltech? Do we put Ocala first? Do we have 6 days at Volusia, a couple days off for the Daytona 500, and then we started Ocala that following Tuesday to give us that 2 weeks together again? There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of trying new things. But doggone it, East Bay's just not going to be back, and that sucks.
Yeah, and let's give a shout out to Red Griffin for stepping up at Screven too, right? That was an open weekend in the calendar. The Winter Freeze has been kind of a tradition of speed weeks, right? A race that Brandon Overton we know loves and will be there. But you've got, they go 5, 10, and 25,000 to win. There didn't have to be a race that weekend. Red said, you know what? Screven's got a hell of a facility. The racetrack's been racing pretty good. So let's give Red some credit for stepping in there. I look at it more than even saying, DJ, it's just there. It's like it's a series of wintertime races more than it is speed weeks, if that makes sense, right? You could go down there and in 19 to 20 days, unload the entire industry in that 19 days and knock all this out, from Golden Isles to East Bay to Volusia. And I know people are going to say, well, things can't always stay the same. No, but when you lose East Bay, it just changes everything. And it was sad to see John Horn posted those pictures. Good work by John going and documenting that. That was sad to see what East Bay looks like now. So I say all that. Go ahead, DJ. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, especially when you think about us, I mean, how many nights did we spend in Tampa, Florida, at that same house, at that same racetrack, at the same parking spot in the back of the pit area, and it's hard to not, I don't know. I think when you're us and you look back on that, it's hard to not reminisce and hard not to maybe shed that tear and think about it. And yes, it's not coming back, or no, it's not coming back, right? No, it's not going to be the same. So it is hard for us, kind of as the dirt late model of the bone industry insiders, to not think back about that and reminisce a little bit, but also still have this uncertainty of maybe what the future will hold also.
And with that, I wanted to kind of, I'm going to touch on this more when we record. This is the last thing I'm going to get to in the video cast. I'm going to touch on this more when we record our Speed Weeks preview. Forever and ever and ever, the entire Dirt on Dirt and FloRacing staff would descend on Georgia and Florida in this. I said 19 days, DJs. Really, it was probably 17, right? You had 7 here, 3 at Golden Isles. Yeah. And from every event, we would do the Speed Weeks Minute. We would do race day. We would do drive home. There's just no way we can do that anymore. With Volusia starting here in 2 weeks, Volusia 1.0, stretched 44 days through Volusia 2.0 and through Golden Isles. There's just no way in these Hunt the Front events in here. We love our friends at Hunt the Front. We can't cover it like we used to. There are going to be some people disappointed in that. We're going to do our best. So let me go over now what we will do. From every single Lucas race, we will have race day. So from the Ocala, Alltech, Golden Isles, we'll do race day. From every single Lucas race, we will have the Speed Weeks Minute. So we will go down there and do that. And from every single Lucas race, we will still do the drive home every night. Look at those two handsome guys in the front seat there with Rinkin and Ben in the back.
Look at the lighting in that car.
Well done. Race day, I still have the headlamps. Race day, Speed Weeks Minute, and drive home will happen from every event. Leave drive home up for a second here, Jeff. I'd like to figure out how to do drive home from Volusia 2.0 as well. And I think a lot of people are going to say, well, Dirt Vision's a competitor. Listen, I sold my company 6 years ago. We've still done drive home from a competitor every year for 6 years. It's just the way the schedule works. Staffing-wise, it's very difficult for us to have everybody down there for 44 days. I'd still like to figure out a way to do drive home from Volusia 2.0. I'm not committing to that yet, but I'd like to figure out drive home from Volusia 2.0, drive home then from Alltech, drive home from Ocala, drive home from Golden Isles. So I'm still working that out, as we've got about a month and a half to figure that out. DJ, we're going to do our best. We're going to bring you a lot of the traditional Speed Week staples that we've had. But the bottom line is the live coverage is the most important thing to us now. Like Kevin Kovac will still be at Volusia covering it, editorial-wise. We'll still have video interviews from Volusia 1.0 and 2.0 if major things happen, and highlights on Dirt, and highlights from Hunt the Front, and I'll have an editorial staff there. We're doing the best we can, but we can't send everybody for 44 days anymore. It just won't work philosofically.
2 thoughts. Number 1, Kovac, of course, is going to Volusia. He's got to get his ice cream.
He would never miss it. He would never miss it.
That is, yeah. And number 2, I'm very disappointed that I'm not doing the drive home with a carload of joiners driving around Needmore Speedway this year. That was absolutely the highlight of my 2025.
Yeah, and again, we'll do our best. And listen, I'm still very good friends with the Steve Francis's and Brian Carters of the world. This has nothing to do with Dirt Vision and Flow. We're still going to be at Volusia doing stuff. It's just we can't do the race days and speed weeks minutes because guys like me, DJ, now I got to go to the big track, right? We do NASCAR stuff now. I got to go to New Smyrna. It's just not quite what it was 5 or 6 years ago, but I promise you guys we'll do our best to bring it to you. Any final thoughts, buddy, as we wrap up Wild West Shootout and the early look at speed weeks?
Yeah, no, I mean, again, I know we're going to have a Speed Weeks video cast coming up here in the near future, but real quick, Wild West Shootout forecast looks amazing. I mean, it's
really does.
upper 60s, even low 70s every single day, and God, I'm probably going to jinx this, but I mean, the highest chance of rain is like
shut up.
4%.
Just shut up.
I mean,
Just shut up.
So I can't wait, man. I'm looking forward to leaving. It's not just cold and snow in Ohio. We've got that miserable snow on the ground here, mud everywhere, wipe off the dog's paws every time he comes in. Yeah. Big thumbs down to that. I can't wait, man. And by the way, we get started actually with practice Friday night.
Yep.
We always show an hour live of practice free for everyone. That's Friday at Casa Grande, Central Arizona Speedway.
All right, DJ. Thanks, buddy. I really appreciate you joining us. I will see you. I got Tulsa first. I'm doing a couple nights of the Chili Bowl, then I'll see you Wednesday in Phoenix.
I can't wait, brother.
Quick reminder, too, Wild West Shootout, the only place to watch it live every single lap right here at FloRacing, January 10th through the 18th. And don't forget also, Chili Bowl starts Monday, January 12th. Chili Bowl live. It's going to be one of the biggest Chili Bowls ever. You can watch that right here on FloRacing as well. Thanks to DJ. Thanks to the producer, Jeff Burba. Fresh off the Tulsa Shootout. Jeff, give me a thumbs up in there so the people can see you. Fresh off the Tulsa Shootout. Jeff straight here to record this. That is an animal. Don't forget Chili Bowl live, Wild West Shootout live coming up. We'll see you in Phoenix, and we will see you in Tulsa.